Howdy and welcome to Broken Tool Garage. This week I'm going to be going over the slant 6-cylinder head. Going to be going over the stud removal. It's got all those studs in there because the intake exhaust manifolds go together and they're held on by one bolt for each of them, right? So I'm going to be going over that. And I found something odd in my head. It didn't look right. We'll get right to it right there. So let's just jump into what we're doing over here and you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm working on this stud here. This is one of the factory studs, and the way I can tell that is if we look on the stud, this is one I put in, the little middle section where there's no threads because it's a fine thread, coarse thread. It's a lot taller on one of those. I don't have one of those out yet because they're in there pretty good. What I've done is I have my grade 8 nut, fine thread, both sides, and I put a washer in there so whenever I torque it down, it's not buggering up those. I also use my little Ryobi impact on here to, give it a little bit of a bump as well. So I've already put a little bit of the penetrating lube on here. Okay, so it is turning, and I just kind of work it back and forth a little bit. The last thing I want to do is have to completely destroy the bolt to get it out, because that makes everything else harder, right? So it's soaked for, I don't know, a day or something like that. I've put the penetrating lube in there a couple times, and I have worked it, so I'm getting this one out. But it's just going slow. Okay, looks like we're doing pretty good on this one. But that's how I'm taking these out. Hopefully I don't run into one that's really big booger on this. There we go. I think I might be able to turn it the wrong way. So, yep, getting her out now. So we'll be able to tell the difference in them. I'm going to change all these out. The reason I changed it out to begin with on the one, touch my screen so I can see. Hopefully you can see that difference right in there. So I changed these out because the factory ones were just getting old. They're like a 1977. So they're getting old and they're not wanting, the threads just aren't holding good and tight. So yeah, I didn't take the nut off. The threads aren't holding good and tight anymore. So that's why I changed those out. All right, I got a good number of them out. These two are being stubborn, and the threads on this one are they're done. They don't have enough bite on them. That's why I was changing those out to begin with, because I was trying to tighten the manifolds down and everything, and I ran into that. Don't have high hopes for those. Those are probably, that's gonna have to go to the machine shop. I'll let them deal with it on that one. Most of them were coming out though, so that's good. I want to show a technique right here. So this one has started to break loose. So then I'll put the penetrating lube in there. Looking for my other wrench. Do it back there. So then you can get your two wrenches on here. So you tighten with this one, right? So you don't break the two nuts loose, and you loosen with this one. So what you can do is move it, move it, move it, move it, and then slowly work it forward so it starts to break loose, right? All right, so it's starting to get tight again. And work it kind of like if you're just doing a bolt. And just do that number and you can get them out. The trick is once they start moving. The three that I pointed out haven't started moving, so. Okay, well, that's where I'm at. You can see, yeah, I got a good number of the studs out over here. So these, the factory ones, I'm just going to throw away because it's like this one down here at the bottom. The threads are just, they're old. Things been tightened and loosened, so the threads are wearing out on them. The new ones, looks like I got 3 new ones in here. I'll just buy all new ones in there and make sure all these threads are chased real good and they're doing good. And then I can seal those now that I have the now that I know the thread sealant. I'm going to use that instead of the RTV on there, and that should keep those from locking up in there. Okay, we're looking at the water jacket on here, and I was like, man, there's something down in there. See that? It's hard to get a light in the camera in that area. That's a piece of baling wire, and it's stuck in there. So I mean, someone had to put that thing in there at some point. So I'll come over here. There's 2 more in there. Like I said, it's hard to... There we go. Get the right... See the camera... Oh, there we go. So there's 2 more wires going in there, right? So that leads all the way. Those are connected. I can't show you that because I need one hand for the camera and one hand for the light. That goes all the way around to here. My light's playing games with me. So that goes all the way down into there. My screen turned off, so there we go. So that comes around to there. There's 2 of them in there. And it does not go into that hole there. So I don't know. So the first thought was maybe part of the casting process. Talk to someone else and maybe they lifted it up or something, but that's a heavy head. That ain't, I guess you probably could get those wires, but what about all the bolt holes? Why don't you just put a bolt in it? I mean, I guess if it hadn't been machined, you wouldn't have a bolt hole, but I don't know. They don't seem very likely. So, okay. Maybe he's at a machine shop and they used to lift it. Well, that's right back to you have bolt holes. Well, not just lift it with a chain and bolts like what I did. All right, well, the third option is that's creating a restriction. I think someone put those wires in there because they kind of come up to the ends and stop. 2 wires. I think they put it in there for a restriction along the side. So that's my few ideas there, and talk to a few people. Put it down in a comment if you've ever seen this or you have any idea why someone would do something like that. All right, the wire in here. I was on Ford Blue Gauge, his live stream, and I popped the question up there, and he said this is from the casting process at the manufacturer, and it shouldn't hurt anything keeping them in. Well, you see what I've done is I took them out. So that's how much I took out of there. There's still a section of wire from here to somewhere in here that's still in there. So, but it should flow that much better. At least I'll feel better about it anyway, right? All right, that'll tidy this one up. I was going to do a little bit more in this video, but it was dragging on a little bit longer than what I wanted to. The next topics are going to be like what we see on the block here, how to check the piston to deck height in there to see how far down those are in the hole. I'm going to take that number plus the cylinder head CCs that I've already done, put those in the spreadsheet that I made for the compression calculations. I'm going to be going over that spreadsheet, show you what the compression ratio is for this engine right here, and then I'm going to calculate how much I want to take off the block and how much I want to take off the head to get to the target stuff. That's going to be next week. Got some tools I'm going to go over. That's just too much stuff to cram into this video, so we're already at around 10 minutes, so I'll just have to split that over into next week. So that's what you can look forward then. There's a couple other things I'm going to go over. Let's see, what else? Well, you just have to watch next week, right? Well, that will if I can get spit out. That will sum this one up, and I'll see you next time on Broken Tool Garage.